me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the tension. In my thoughts.
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Today we're going to be talking about an NFL scout and a little bit about Jalen Ramsey and something that I came up to in researching something about the Dolphins, and this popped up and I wanted to talk about it just to kind of underlyingly explain what the situation is and if we need to take this into accountability or if this is just something that is just a news article to kind of get people stirred up, because obviously, again, we have to reconcile that it is the off season. You know, you need stories because there's not really much going on. I mean, besides the Dalvin Cook thing, there is really not much going on. We're just waiting on training camp. You know, some people played really well during the OTAs, but that doesn't really mean anything yet. We need to wait for the juicy stories to get there. So sometimes people manufacture them and sometimes people don't. But what we are going to see is that today on the Bleacher Report and a couple other areas, there's an NFL scout that said Jalen Ramsey, he's not sure if he plays hard every play. And I want to dive into that. So I'm going to read the article real quick. Jalen Ramsey is arguably the best quarterback of the past decade in the NFL. But at least one scout has some questions about his effort on a play-to-play basis. Speaking to NFL or ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, a veteran AFC scout, said any decline in Ramsey's play was more an effort issue than ability. I don't think he's declined physically. I think he can still do all the things that make him great. I'm just not sure how he always plays hard. And of course, you know, they're going to pick on the last season where, you know, he had a pretty decent season. It wasn't his best season. His performance was still in line with what he's done at his best. The three-time All-Pro finished second in the NFL with 18 pass breakups and tied his career high with 4 interceptions. Fowler noted that Ramsey had a 20% ball hawk rate. The stat is a measure of how often a player disrupts a pass divided by the total number of targets of the nearest defender. It's not hard to fault Ramsey if he had lapses in his focus last season. The Rams struggled with injuries all year, and Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Aaron Donald combined to only play 29 games. The Los Angeles was a respectable 3-3 coming out of the bye before losing 6 consecutive games. Its 5-12 record saw an NFL high for most losses by a reigning Super Bowl champion. He will get a chance to reestablish himself with Miami. Now, we're going to dive into this, and what I can tell you after hearing something like this, me personally, I think it's just a story. I think it's something that they have to come up with. So you have to recognize that all the way up to before that, Jalen Ramsey was basically the best cornerback in the NFL. He has been for a very long time. And even if you look at what he did last year, it was still pretty good. It's actually really good compared to most other cornerbacks. It wasn't his best year, but he still did pretty good. And what I can tell you is, if you are a player that is on a team that is going nowhere, and you have been told by basically everybody that the team is going nowhere, you are probably not going to give an effort on every single play. And I'm not taking away, you know, if they saw something and maybe he was kind of underlyingly not giving effort on every play, but you have to recognize that the whole NFL season is dedicated toward trying to get to the Super Bowl. So you can imagine a player like him, where he's very competitive. He is very much so. He wants to win every single game. When you're starting quarterback, starting defensive tackle, you know, you're starting top receiver, all of these things are out, and you are in the know of that most players are, you know, kind of falling behind, and that we are not really trying to go to the Super Bowl this year. It's going to be a rebuild year. That is going to get to you in the fact of this is not a sport where it is delicate. You are putting yourself on the line every single play. And if you aren't going to the Super Bowl, why are you going to give 100% effort on everything? You clearly already know that you are out of the Super Bowl, and they are not really trying to win. Obviously, the Los Angeles Rams last year, yes, we were trying to see something, but there really wasn't any effort given by a lot of the team. That it just looked like it just fell through after the Super Bowl. And that's what I can say for this, is that even still, you have to take a look at his statistics and his ball hawking, as they said, and I think he had 4 interceptions last year, and you know, he had a bunch of tackles, basically very similar to most good cornerbacks. And any decline obviously comes with your team is going nowhere, and you are the last, basically the last superstar on that team trying to give it a go. He still did great, still did fantastic, but you have a team that's not going anywhere. And that's the reason that you got traded to that team. That's the reason you wanted to go there, is to win a Super Bowl, which you did, but you wanted to continue to keep winning. And having a losing team, you don't want to be on that anymore. And you don't want to get yourself physically injured or something along those lines trying to play your hardest. He still played extremely hard, but the lapses only happened last year. Last year he had lapses in effort, but of course his team was also going nowhere. So it's hard to want to dedicate yourself to a team that is going nowhere, and that gets to you sometimes. You know, every team that he's played for, even the Jaguars, you know, they were still trying to compete to be good. But when you're on the Rams after the Super Bowl, it just didn't even look like anybody wanted to win at that point. You know, you went 3-3 in the bye, and then you just started losing like crazy, and it just seemed at the end of the year, no one wanted to win anymore. No one really wanted to dedicate themselves to winning. So, you know, you're kind of going to sit there and be like, well, why am I going to try for this organization? Why am I going to maybe possibly get injured when we're doing nothing? And it's not even just a nothing of, oh man, this year kind of stunk. It's like, well, we have no cap space to sign anybody, so we're going to have to get rid of everybody and start again. And that's the key here, is that what the Rams did is, of course, they won the Super Bowl, but also they did everything they could to just win that one Super Bowl. And now that everything fell apart, well, now you have to get rid of everything. So it's not even just this year's a losing year. It's like, we're going to be losing for a little bit. Now to prove this, we'll go into his stats, and I'm going to kind of break down his statistics and why we can kind of see that whoever this is, to me, trying to make a story. They're trying to make something juicy to come out of this offseason to get some people going. You know, not everybody's going to have the same opinion, but listen, you got him on Jacksonville, and you have very similar stats to what he did in 2022 when people thought he was amazing. Listen, you got basically 65 total tackles every single year when he was in Jacksonville, and in the 3 years, basically his top interceptions thing was 4. He's had 4 every single good year. He's had 4 interceptions. You go to 2022, the guy had the most tackles that he's ever had with 64. He's never had 64 solo tackles, 88 total tackles. I mean, 2 sacks, which he hasn't gotten sacks before. You have 3 forced fumbles. You have 4 interceptions. I'm not understanding where the effort, you know, maybe on a couple plays and maybe because the team sucks, but you look at his statistics and you look at how he played. Yes, of course, he let up a couple of things, but, you know, who isn't going to, honestly, who's not going to want to dedicate themselves to a team that's losing? That doesn't make any sense. But if you even look at the statistics, everything is up from every year that he has played in this league, which is crazy to me. You understand? Like, it's just one of those things that you look at his statistics and you look at everything he did last year, he looks fine. He looks like last year, actually, statistically, was one of his best years. It was actually one of the best years. Obviously not, you know, lockdown corner-wise, but statistically, he wasn't playing the same type of position. He wasn't playing just lockdown corner. He started playing much more of a roaming corner hybrid safety type of thing, and he was all over the field. So you look at Jalen Ramsey, and he wasn't in the same type of positional standard that he usually was, where it's like typically before he was just based on man-on-man coverage, shutting that guy down. This, in the LA Rams, he was much more of a gadget-style corner safety hybrid that they moved all around the field. And again, if you look at his statistics, they look pretty good to me. They look like he did great last year. I mean, like I said, everything is better than every year that he's had in the league. I think one of these key concepts we have to grasp our head around is that people are going to, again, try and find things against the Miami Dolphins because One, we are probably at this point one of the more popular teams in the NFL. Two, whenever you come up with something that is negative, it draws way more attention to you, and it causes a big fandom to start either choosing a side or just calling you out on whatever it is, which is engagement. And that is what they're trying to do with some of these stories. Jalen Ramsey is fantastic. And last year, maybe he had a couple of plays that weren't 100% effort, but, you know, that also goes up to you won the Super Bowl, and there's a little bit of a layover. No, I don't think there's been really too many teams, if any, that have won the Super Bowl 2 years in a row in the last 20 years. It's just one of those things that you have to really take into consideration, that he played fine last year. Maybe some things weren't up to par, as in the way that people want to conceptualize him as a lockdown corner, but he was pretty fantastic statistically, and watching him, he was very good last year. It's just, you know, the Rams kind of sucked. So the only player on the defense when Aaron Donald went down was basically him. It was it, and Bobby Wagner. And, you know, I mean, Jalen Ramsey was much more of the gadget style player. So just wanted to make a quick video. You know, Jalen Ramsey is going to do fantastic things this year. He's going to do great, and I am excited to see what he can do with a team that has Super Bowl aspirations and not, you know, just a losing style of team. So we're going to see what he does this year. I just wanted to make a quick video, but as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up, baby. Peace.